Hi, this is Rachelle with Journal Life's Journey, and I am back to work on the Valentine's inspired journal. So, since we last met, I've made some changes. I realized that I had the wrong settings on my eyelet setter. So, I actually went back and removed the eyelets from the spine and reset them so that everything is nice and neat with the backing and it worked so much better. Even though this is really thick, I was able to get those backings to work properly. And then, as I had initially planned, I put eyelets down the sides of the spine so that I can do somewhat of a corset stitch. I'm still working on figuring out how to keep these closed. I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up using some type of magnet system, but I want to work on the corset and the ties that I'm going to use here. I also removed the elastic that I had put in because I did not like it. The cord was just too thick, and I think I can do a better look using a ribbon. The issue that I ran into is that I don't have any red ribbon. The closest thing that I have is this, and I tried it with this. It's not quite long enough, and I think it's just too thin, even though it did look really pretty on the red with the gold edge. I think I'll end up using this another way. So what I thought I would do, let me set this aside. I do have some different colors of seam binding from my scrap cabin, but I don't have any red, which is fine. I have my own undyed ribbon, so I can make my own. So I'm going to make quite a bit so that I can have some for the traveler's notebook part of it and also for the corset spine. So I'm just going to measure out this piece because I know this piece was long enough, but I also know I needed double this. So I'm going to double it to start. Okay. And give a little bit extra. Then I'm going to do 4 lengths and then a few more just to be on the safe side to make sure I have enough. Okay. So I think that's going to be good. Stop right there. All right, so I have all of this, and I'm gonna dye it myself, and I've done this before, but I figured I'd pop on and do it just so that you can see how I do it. I could use sprays, I could use acrylic ink, I could use acrylic paint, watered down, of course. I could use watercolor. I am going to start with Fired Brick Distress Ink from Tim Holtz. Um, and then I may mix in some other colors with it, and I also need some water to help make this go further. Okay, so I have this packaging here that I've been using for alcohol inks on the other side. So I just turned it inside out, and I'm going to use this other side for it and see if we can get some good red color on this seam binding. I'm sure I need much more than that, but let's see. Let me get my tweezers. There we go. Let me get a glove. So it's working great. Let's do one more smush. Maybe add some water to it this time. I don't want to get it too wet because I don't want to spread out the pigment too much. I want as much pigment as I can get. All right, it looks kind of orangey to me. So let me see what other sprays and inks I have to maybe possibly give it a little more of a darker red color because holding it, well, maybe it's not too far off. But let's just see if we can darken it just a hair. Okay, so this is the acrylic ink. What color is this? Pyro red? Let's just see what it looks like. Let me shake it up really well. Okay. I don't think I want to use too much of that. Okay, this is fired brick, and this is the distress spritz. All right, let's see if the spray is going to work. Yeah, the spray I think is going to give me a little more depth of color, a little more color variation. All right, that's enough of that. Okay, I need to wipe that off actually. Let's see. Now, what I usually do is take another piece of paper and blot some of the wetness out so that it can dry faster. And this seems like it's got an extra amount of pigment because it's leaving the red behind on plastic. So let me get a few sheets of paper and see what I can do. Instead of using fresh clean paper, I'm just going to use some that I set aside to coffee or tea stain. So these are inserts that I didn't get a chance to use. So I'm just going to do this to blot some of the water out and not waste any of that color. And I'll probably use these to make some type of envelope or something, I think. Let's try one more, then I'll put these back. I'm going to ball this up tight and let it dry. I could put it in like a plastic bag, but that's just gonna slow down the dry time, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just gonna leave it balled up like that and let it dry, and then we'll come back and see the final result. So here is the dry seam binding. It has a nice loose crinkle. The color is a variant, so it's not just a flat red. There is some depth and lightness or brightness in the color. I think it's a good match. And all that's left to do is to lace it up. I'm not ready to lace it yet. And I'll also be using it to bind in the signatures for this. So I'm going to stop here. In the next video, we will start working on the signatures and binding everything in place, gluing down the folios, all of that will be in the next video. But for this video, I just wanted to do the dyeing of the seam binding. So I think it turned out really nice. Let me know in the comments what you think. I've done something similar with fabric tape. I've done it with fabric. Actually, the fabric that I used on the spine here, I dyed in a similar way. It was for a different project, but luckily I have some scraps left over that I could use here. But yeah, let me know if you've ever tried to dye anything like this, including paper or maybe just regular ribbon. Let me know in the comments below. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll holler at y'all next time. Bye.